government's $330 billion budget was presented to the National Assembly some 20 months after the last budget presentation was made in the House. Minister of Public Works, the Honorable Bishop Juan Edgell, made the presentation in place of a substantive Minister of Finance. Before he announced the specific figures per sector, the minister said that the estimates and expenditure for 2020 took into consideration the COVID-19 pandemic and reopening of the country's economy.
Mr. Speaker, given that all our country has endured since December 2028, the PPPC administration is presenting Budget 2020 under the theme, Our Plan for Prosperity, protecting our people in a COVID-19 environment, strengthening democracy and the rule of law, incentivizing economic growth and job creation, enhancing welfare. Ever conscious of the pandemic that has distorted our ideas of normalcy and wreaked havoc on health systems the world over, Budget 2020 seeks to ensure that our level of preparedness and response priorities to the safety of our people.
In its plan for prosperity, the government has allocated to the public education sector $52 billion or 15.8% of the total budget for development. Effective January 1st, 2021, there will be a $15,000 cash grant for school children. The school uniform voucher allowance has also doubled to $14,000 per child. This announcement has been received with much elation.
I feel very proud because it would help us to buy school clothes, and it would help us to do more things and so on. So I'm just grateful for it.
I have grandchildren going to the school, yes, one. She's going to a private school. So I know it would be very helpful for those parents who are, as I said, less fortunate than I am. It would be very much more beneficial to those people, At least their children would be having their uniform, their snacks, whatever, their books. I think it's a very good idea.
I am grateful that what the government is doing for us. And I think it's not no bad idea that he's doing.
Parents can afford certain things for their grandchildren. They got some homes can prepare a proper meal. So very good.
It's not bad because they got some parents, them alone got to do it, and if you get a little help some way, at least we should be thankful because it's not one child, it's every child will be getting it, and that would be nice. And along with that, I'd like for the children that going to the private school, I'd like for them to get something too.
Staying with education, $1.7 billion has been allocated for the construction and rehabilitation of schools to exist in a COVID-19 world. Over $300 million has been allocated to improve blended learning options to ensure children do not lose out on an effective education while they're away from class. 25% corporate tax on educational institutes has also been removed. The government has also allocated $3 billion for the University of Guyana, $221.3 million to complete rollover projects at both campuses in Turkine and Berbice.
Our children will continue to learn even while being unable to be in a physical classroom.
For the health sector, government allocated $51.7 billion or 15.7% of the total budget. Approximately $14.3 billion will go towards procurement of drugs and medical supplies. Funding for the Georgetown Public Hospital Corporation has been increased to $11 billion in 2020 as well. Also, a total of $150 million has been set aside to assist frontline workers, and those health professionals have expressed gratitude for this initiative.
I think it's an excellent initiative to acknowledge the workers that are in the middle of this pandemic, making the best efforts that they can to help in whatever way possible. I believe it will help a great deal. Working in the sector, we find that a lot of shortages have caused a decline in the health of our general population, and reducing these taxes would mean better availability of these medications for our patients. And that indeed is just heartwarming as a professional, and of course to see that our health standards have been risen and there's actual efforts being made to better the outcome of this.
Removing the taxes from the electricity and the water and so on would help because of the economic system. At this point of time, a lot of people, some households, half of the people are out of jobs because of the pandemic. So I think it will help a great deal, and I hope that there will be more increases for our healthcare workers because we are the people out here who are saving lives every day. So I greatly appreciate it.
Government has already started looking at medium and long-term projects in the health sector. These include completing the smart hospital initiatives at Diamond, Paramakatoy, Mabaruma, Lenora, and Letham. Funding has also been allocated for the redevelopment of the West Demerara, Suddy, and Bartica hospitals. The agriculture sector has been allocated $18.4 billion in this 2020 budget. Most of the money will be used for infrastructure development and to provide assistance to farmers. $5 billion has been specifically set aside for development of the sugar industry.
In order to rejuvenate Gaisuku, rehabilitate, and to bring back those estates into operation, recreating those jobs and supporting the economies in those areas where the estates were closed, we are setting aside $5 billion for budgetary support for Gaisuku directly.
So what did citizens have to say about government's investment in the sugar industry?
I feel proud about that. The reason for I come from the sugar estate, and I vexed Bad Wales estate close. I'm from there. I used to work there.
That would be amazing because we need the investment because this estate here could do better.
First when I joined this estate, it was good about the money is small, but it was good. But now they're more worse. And the government coming out, it can be better.
It's a good idea because a lot of people, thousands of people out of job. But what I feel with the sugar industry, they want a better management.
We visited the I-Flat Lenora estate and spoke with estate manager Yudhishthira Mana about government's announcement.
How I feel, I say it to you, thrilled, overwhelmed, excited on that announcement of $5 billion. While that will have to be divided among many areas and people, the most important thing for me is that we are heard. At IFLOC here, we would have seen capital investment very much restricted over the last couple of years, especially the last 4 years, I must say. Walking here, infrastructure, capital investment was limited, if any at all, was just minimal along the line. So we would have seen bridges falling apart, access dams within the cultivation, and coming home closer. The ponds or the barges we used to transport the cane to the factory, they were all torn apart with minimal replacement.
For public safety and security, government has allocated $38.9 billion. Approximately $1 billion will go towards upgrade and repair of police stations and divisional headquarters. Another $428.1 million has been set aside for the procurement of 50 vehicles. $200 million will be spent at the Lusignan prison, which was already damaged by a fire following a riot, and another $2 billion for the construction, rehabilitation, and upgrade to prison facilities.
Government will also focus on expanding the use of ICT in the fight against crime, providing better remuneration and conditions for the officers in our security forces, and ensuring greater accountability by the police force of solving crime.
In the housing sector, government has allocated $3 billion to start some housing developments. 50,000 house lots have been identified to be distributed to young professionals, individuals with an immediate need, persons with adequate disposable income, and private developers this year. The mortgage interest rate, MIR, has been increased to $30 million. Water and sanitation received an allocation of $2.8 billion to support the operations of the Guyana Water Incorporated GWI. For the nation's young people, government plans to establish a youth advisory council along with $25 million to support its effective functioning. Government also plans to expand the engagement of youth and sports groups to improve their organizational capacity and work in collaboration with other government agencies and the private sector to pursue opportunities for young people.
$2.7 billion has been allocated for culture, youth, and sports, for which $805.3 million is for sports.
For the oil and gas sector, government plans to uphold the Santiago Principles of Transparency and Accountability and EITI. It also plans to criminalize non-disclosure of receipts of funds from oil revenues and ensure annual reports from the government are laid in the National Assembly detailing oil revenues and expenditures to ensure that there are regular audits as well as civil society's involvement via a central role in monitoring compliance and accountability. In its 2020 package, government also announced measures that will benefit households and small businesses. These include the removal of VAT on electricity, water, machinery and equipment, exports, and materials for the construction sector, among others.
It will be very beneficial to me as well as to all Guyanese because we'll be able to save more and should be able to have a better way of managing ourselves as well. In terms of when you save, you get to do more with the money that you would have been putting into the electricity and the water.
I think there's a good program. Why is because remember you have poor people, a lot of poor people in this country. 16% VAT is a lot of money.
Citizens were also pleased with the removal of VAT from cellular phones.
Well, I think it's a good idea if we remove the VAT from cell phones because it helps a lot of Guyanese now to be able to purchase a cell phone.
The sale for phones are going to increase and they're going to be very good for business and so on. I think it was a good move.
With the exclusion of VAT on building and construction materials, citizens felt this was a great move by the government as it brings much needed relief to families.
This is a very perfect move by the government because you calculate if you spend $1 million right here and you take out 16% right there, 160,000. This is a very great move by the government. I think this government doing a really great job for the Guyanese people.
Well, I think that's a great move by the government and our president, and it will benefit a lot of poor people. And basically, if the VAT is removed, there's more money in your pocket. So eventually you could complete, you could bill again, more money in people's pockets.
In the meantime, on government's announcement of a $25,000 COVID-19 relief for households across Ghana, this is what citizens had to say.
Right now we need it, and sale is very slow. I just really depend on the school canteen. And due to the COVID, nobody ain't coming out to buy.
We're still thankful because we didn't get nothing at all from the time the COVID-19 started, and then some people get knocked off, and then we still had to give up jobs and so, because at one time I had to stay in. So if you get $25,000, still thankful. As a businesswoman, I would invest it first and then take it out back because I've been eating before the $25,000 came. So I still thankful for however it come. If it come in cash, if you got to spend it one way or the other.
It's very good. We would like to applaud the government for coming up with such an idea. At least, it can help out a lot, but every household should get it.
Very good, especially for some person who are not working and getting no money and things like that.
If I'm going to get $25,000, I'm grateful. It's better than receiving nothing. It can go far away, depends on how you use it. I will like to have mine, and I have uses for mine. And I'm grateful and I'm thankful. I would definitely invest it in my business. Nobody don't just fall off the road and get 25,000.
This budget embodies a no nonsense, no frills, no fluff, people centered, pro poor, results oriented approach to launch this nation back on its positive development trajectory.